Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Kbreezy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be telling you the best 5 tips on how to outplay any squad that you come across in Apex Legends. Pros like Shroud and Dizzy use these tips in order to take their games to the next level and dominate the competition. Before I get started though, be sure to stay until the end of the video to hear all the information that I have for you guys, because if you do, I'll guarantee that you'll start to see some major improvements the next time you hop onto a match of Apex Legends. So the first tip that's going to help you outplay anyone is strafing whenever you get into a gunfight with an opponent. If you don't know what I mean by strafing, this means moving to the left and right whenever you're firing at an enemy. But making yourself an unpredictable, moving target, it becomes much harder for the enemy to hit you as you're laying shots into them. This is one of the hardest things to get used to as a new player, especially if you're used to just standing still whenever you're aiming at somebody. Getting out of the habit of standing still while shooting may be hard at first, but it really does pay off in the long run. Using the shooting range in the training mode and practicing on targets is really going to help you out if this is your first time trying this out. In addition to this, crouching and uncrouching while firing at someone can very easily throw off their aim and cause them to miss key shots. Using both of these movements is really going to make you hard to hit, and it's going to catch an enemy off guard because almost everyone just stands perfectly still while they're getting shot at. If you look at some of the pros play, they almost never stand still while shooting, and they have good reason to do so. From now on, try and make it a habit to incorporate this into your game, and you're going to notice that you don't get as much damage done to you. If you haven't already and you're playing on console, you should go into your settings and change your control settings from the default to button puncher. This functions similar to the tactical setting in other games and makes it so that your melee and crouch button are switched to make it a lot easier to crouch and strafe, as I mentioned earlier. Next up, for tip number 2, try using the divide and conquer strategy to outplay your opponents when the odds are stacked against you. I know that we've all been in a 1v3 situation and it feels like it's impossible for us to come out on top. But keep in mind, there's always a way to come out on top if you use the environment to your advantage and separate the enemy team. Once the enemy team realizes that they're not your teammates, they're going to come in guns blazing and try to go full sweat mode to see who can get the last kill. Use this sort of mentality to your advantage though, and put yourself in a situation so that they are at a disadvantage by rushing you. One of the best ways to do this is by getting the high ground to deal massive damage as they try to run towards you. If you're able to knock one of them because of this, don't immediately end the person, because you could catch one of their teammates off guard while they try to get a revive off. Instead, guard the downed enemy and make them choose whether they want to revive their friend or rush you. Since reviving in Apex is so quick, a lot of people tend to risk it and try to revive their teammates even though they could go down themselves. Once you knock the person that tried to get the revive off, now you have things evened up and it's a true 1v1. At this point, it's just a matter of staying calm, maintaining your high ground, and making sure the solo doesn't get any revives off. Also, don't forget to use the strafing strategy that I mentioned earlier, because it really does help out when going against multiple opponents. Okay, so now we're moving on, and for tip number 3, this one is more on the strategy side and involves manipulating the enemy into doing what you want them to do. If you've ever played a game of chess or checkers, you know exactly what I mean when I say this. Setting the enemies up into a bad position really makes it hard for them to down anyone in your squad. But similar to a game of chess, there are always certain things that you can do to control what your enemy does in a fight. For instance, we all know that if someone sees a grenade icon on the screen, the first thing that they're going to do is to try and get to a safe spot. But during that time they are moving, the enemy is completely vulnerable to responding gunfire in the process. This is why carrying things like arc star and grenades are so useful, because it allows you to control the enemy's points of movements. I mean, if you throw an arc star, more likely than not, it's going to cause the enemies to scramble from wherever they're bunkered down at. During this moment of indecision, you can easily shoot them in the back or get even better positioning on them by gaining the high ground. I know that I say get the high ground a lot in this video, but I can't emphasize enough how beneficial it is to have the high ground in a fight. For tip number 4, you want to third party as many fights as you possibly can, especially in the last couple of circles. What I mean by this is, instead of trying to run away when you hear gunfights, run towards it instead. And don't just run towards it mindlessly, make sure that you're putting your team in a good position so that you're able to pick and choose who you're engaging. One of the worst things that you can do when setting your squad up for a third party is run in guns blazing and end up getting pinched by both of the teams. The best way to make sure your team is not taking damage from either of the squads is to keep space, as I mentioned earlier, and pick the enemy teams off from afar. Always remember though, don't pick favorites in the third party, and do your best to weaken both sides in the fight. Picking a favorite side leaves you vulnerable to the other squad, and most of the time they end up shooting you in the back. If this was on paper, it would look something like the letter B, being that there's two sides and in the middle there's a point that they come to. What you want to do is be a point on either of the two sides, and be the squad that decides who is going to be the point or the third party. Using this tip effectively, you'll start noticing that you rack up kills a lot easier, and cleaning up squads after a third party, you'll be stacked up on loot before you know it. It's honestly one of the best things that you can do if you're looking to outplay enemies, because if done right, you're always going to give yourself the upper hand, and you have the advantage of surprise on your side. But for the fifth and final tip I have for you guys today is to stay calm, keep your head on no matter what's going on. This is more of a change, not in the way you play the game, but the sort of mentality that you have going into a match. Panicking in a bad situation usually causes you to make some rash decisions. Just try and stay cool and think about what you could do to give yourself an edge. For example, say that you land on the dropship later than everyone else and you're one of the last people that are able to pick up a weapon. Now most people are just going to say screw it and jump off, but instead stay calm and see how close you are to danger, and if you have to evacuate and get to a better location. Also make sure that you're familiar with all the weapons so that you know how to use anything that you pick up. Adapting to any one situation is really necessary if you want to come out as champion of the arena. The main key to doing this is not playing off of your emotions, but instead playing off of your strategic thinking that I mentioned earlier. It's really hard not to range when you're confident that you landed all of your shots, but that last bullet didn't hit you, but staying calm really is a key factor in not playing your opponents. But yeah guys, that's all I have for today's video regarding the tips on how to outplay opponents in Apex Legends. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe and please leave a like to show your support because that really helps me out and lets me know the kind of videos that you guys like to watch. And don't forget to comment down below, let me know what you want next because I really do enjoy reading all of the comments and it helps me come up with some new video ideas. Feel free to watch the rest of the gameplay if you want to see me using some of the tips that I mentioned before and how they helped me out during this match. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, it's your boy KB, signing off. Peace. Yeah. Yeah, it was close.
I had to make sure he didn't get murked.
Somebody else.
I ain't no earbuds, boy.
So I need.
Unless,
I ain't got no bullets.
unless I'm just tripping, I think I heard somebody else.
I'm gonna grab a Phoenix kit.
Hey, I got you, Here, black thing. Hey, right here, hell's gone.
I got you, kid.
Oh, they got little skin for this evade.
Man, I need ammo. Heavy.
Baby, I ain't got.
I think I can give you some.
I came to the mid song. I came to it.
I'm trying to get a thunder down real quick.
Yeah, we can. If you need heavy ammo, I can give you heavy ammo, Joe. Oh, there's people right here. Y'all want to trip? When you get near me, Jay, I can give you some. Oh, they're right here. I got raped. I'm getting raped. Bro, they're all low. They're all so low. They're all so low. Okay, that's probably 3 kills, wasn't it? Right here, all of them, they're like so low. Oh my goodness. Oh no, it's alright. At least you didn't die. I'd rather be alive than dead. Oh, hey, can you revive me? You can revive me. You got a shield. You got a shield, Jay. You can still revive me. Thank you. I'm gonna use this Phoenix kit. I'm healing. Hey, focus on. There's some heavy ammo. Knock shield off one. I'm rushing that dude. Nice. Whew. Yeah. Yeah, I ran over here. I was getting near that circle. Yeah, I have too. The boxer don't know where I'm at. Oh, I knocked the Gibraltar. Oh man. Ooh, darn. He's reviving. He's reviving. Behind you, right here. Bro, we got pinched.